What's up? What's the word?
I do want to get on the deportation thing, right, and the immigrants, right? Because you got the mayor tomorrow. You know, the Venezuela thing is a huge thing.
Yes, a real
huge thing.
Stand up.
Don't say it like that. See, I personally don't have no problem. I almost hit one today too. Yeah, he just walked in the middle of the street throwing up gang signs. Like the police looked at him too, like, dude, you crazy. And I ain't have my seatbelt on, so I'm trying to put my seatbelt on while the police next to me and shit.
Yeah, almost took that man life.
But nah, dude wasn't paying no attention. He was like walking backwards, throwing up gang signs on something, and I had to stop. Like, gee, you tweaking. But the Venezuela, the migrant crisis right here in Chicago and just like the Democratic cities, right? Right. I think it's L.A., New York, and Chicago, where it's like real huge. So the talks is that they getting a lot of funding. They getting housing, they getting, black people that link. When they see they getting all that link, black people start going crazy. I personally know things come up. I don't be knowing what's true or not, because I just hit a lot of internet shit. But I'm gonna ask the question to you: like, any of that shit true?
Yep, it is. Like, I think if the Republicans, I hope none are watching. Maybe they are. But if I was a Republican strategist, that would have been, I would have said, hey, Trump, pull it together for the next 3 months. Harp on immigration. Because it is a real concern. I mean, there hasn't been anything done in decades when it comes to the border. And there's is it 7 billion or 6 billion? 6 billion more immigrants in America than it was when Trump was in office. Number of reasons, right? We got the Israeli-Palestinian thing happening. We got the Ukraine-Russia thing. So it's a lot of reasons, but those are real issues. And if you talk to your everyday people, they don't see what's happening on the news. They see folks in the middle of the street. They see folks that, like, at police stations. I know we've cleared some of those folks are now in better conditions, but like before, it's like, what are these migrants doing here? Black and brown communities been struggling since I was younger, right? They are all real concerns. So I haven't spent my time really necessarily negating some of those things, because I think that's an issue for me too. I told you I'm moderate leaning, fake conservative, but I think to the Democrat point, I think Kamala has a great chance of addressing some of those issues, not because she's perfect, but because Trump is either hot or cold. Like, he doesn't even want to work on the border. He wants to get rid of everybody that's an immigrant. And what happens when we get rid of migrants? Vegetables, food, all the hard jobs that they say that are being taken. Black folks don't have those jobs. It's hardworking Hispanic people that are on the ground cutting these vegetables, washing the fruit, and it's the way of life. And so I don't. Most of the things that you said are accurate. There's a lot of funding that has been going to migrants. And the question is, what are we doing for Black and brown communities? I would also argue that that's also a state thing. It's a Governor Pritzker question. It's a Mayor Brandon question. I think we always go to like Biden. He's the president. He deals with a lot of federal issues, but a lot of things are left to the states. But could there be some more funding that comes federally? For sure. And a lot of that money came through COVID funding. And that's another reason why some of the migrants got funding too. It wasn't that we were just pulling money out the wazoo. It was that we have this money associated from COVID left over. We're going to use some of that funding. So
why they didn't use none of that funding for Black and brown communities that was already underserved, that education, that? Because I lived in Roseland for a while. Roseland is a food desert, I got family living in Bronzeville. I'm from Bronzeville. I heard they closing the Mariano's on 39th. That's a grocery store that's leaving the community.
They're closing it?
Yeah, they're supposed to be closing down on 39th and King Drive.
It hasn't even been there that long.
Yeah, my sister just told me that recently. Like, they supposed to be closing the Mariano's down. So it's like we in these situations where it's food deserts. Like, we got a lot of homeless people. Shout out to Inglewood Barbara. She's been feeding the friends for years. There's a lot of people homeless. Like, they was even tearing down their tents. They putting up gates so people can't sleep under the expressway. But the migrants are getting this funding, getting these units. Like, that's just where I'm coming from with it. This is what I'm seeing. So, but if I see Trump on it, he's saying like, yo, we can fix this, we can deport them. Can we get mad at Black and brown people saying like, no, we're gonna vote for dude because he already I'm already frustrated about what the Democrats are doing because Brandon Johnson is getting them all this money. He don't have no answer for them. So can we get mad about black and brown people if they want to vote for this guy? If somebody's going to eliminate that problem?
My answer or rebut to that is twofold. Is your immediate response to that? No, I can't get upset because they're real issues, especially if you got 2 jobs, you got 2 kids, and life is tough. Even if you ain't got no kids, life is tough. I understand that. But I think if we look at the history of Trump in office, what did he do when he was there? He did not commit to this wall. He said he was going to
halfway built it.
Right? Like, I think we can't get mad at them. But also, if Trump is the answer, what has he done? Because Trump has been president. Kamala Harris has not. Trump, you didn't build a wall. There was a bill that was going to address border security. You stopped that from happening, so it would not be a win for President Joe Biden. Like, there are things that, like, yeah, I can understand your frustration, but Trump is not the answer when it comes to certain stuff. But we can also hold the Democratic Party accountable in the same way. I just think sometimes before we even get to president and holding them super accountable, we got to talk about some of these local legislators, state reps, state senator. What are y'all doing? Where's the funding coming to help the homeless people in our state? Like, what's actually happening?
That's been my question, because like if they're able to pull funding from COVID to help fund the migrants, why can't they pull funding from other places? Why haven't they been pulling funding from other places to help the homeless problem that we had before the migrants even got here?
My immediate answer to that is, if we're talking about Chicago specifically.
Yeah, or even try to send them to the suburbs, because I know at one point he was paying the suburbs a couple million to take some of the migrants.
Yeah, I think Chicago is such a beautiful city.
We are beautiful.
So many crazy problems. And homelessness, along with job security, along with criminal justice, there are so many issues. So I think if we're talking about Chicago specific on why we don't address these issues, we don't hold legislators accountable, but we're also in debt where our education system, which one of the things I want to talk to Mayor Brandon about tomorrow, like that's a real issue. Our education system is not the best. And so the funding that is needed for those things is not being funded. So we have all these, what I'm saying is we have all these different priorities that require money. And then you add a migrant crisis on top of it. It's difficult. But to your point, your broader point, what are folks doing in regards to this issue? I think we hold federal folks accountable, but I think we also got to hold these city and state folks accountable, because if we're talking about immediate effect, these state legislators and these aldermen are the ones that can get the money more directly. Does some of that funding come federally? For sure. So they need to be, from U.S. senators to congressional folks, they need to be advocating on the federal level. And then our state folks need to be passing legislation that trickles down to these local folks, i.e. the aldermen.
So what does that look like? Like, it's one thing to say it, but as for people in the community, like, what are the steps of holding them accountable? What does that look like?
That'll take a whole episode. I think, practically speaking, I think we have to be more in tune with what's happening. I think a lot of these legislators are able to escape and get by with 4 to 5, whatever many terms, because we aren't paying attention, rightfully so. We got matters, we got kids, we in school, we got real jobs. But I think we have to pay more attention to what's happening so we can know what to hold them accountable for. That's point one. I think in practice, though, that means taking an interest in city council. I mean, he talked about property taxes today, and I got to go back and watch it before I form an opinion, because I'm a homeowner for 4 years, and you talking about raising my taxes, bro?
Yeah, he has.
What are we talking about? And I got to figure out my opinion for tomorrow so I can ask him, and also
ask him about these parking tickets too, because I can't park nowhere for free no more, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and that all funds the city of Chicago, which are all real questions. So I think, to practically speaking, start out with the issue that matters to you. Right. Yeah. Whether it's parking tickets, whether that's homelessness, and find these organizations. Some of these organizations are doing the work. They just lack the money to present legislation or lack the capacity to fight for all these different issues. So I think it's paying more attention, finding out who your electeds are. If you ask most people, they don't know who they state rep is or their state senator. They'll tell me Dick Durbin, and that's your congressional person, right? Your congressional senator. So I think we just got to be more in tune. And then on the other end, like, we don't make them be accountable to us. We elect them because our grandma knows their cousin, or we know their name is on the ballot, and from that point they in office until they die. Like, we have to, I'm putting the onus on us because we are more in tune with what happens on the shade room. Shout out to the shade room. No shade there. That was no pun intended either. We know more what's happening in pop culture than we do what's happening in our own neighborhoods, unless somebody gets shot, unless property taxes go up. So I think the onus is on us so we can hold them accountable, because I honestly think, at least for the millennials, a lot of us are poised to run for office now. And if we run, we'll win. Because of our real struggles and how in tune we are with the people. So I think it's on us to become the next generations of leaders, where we hold them accountable or get them out.
Hey. What's up? What's the word?